It's a young Chilean team, just almost an all-domestic team, just like our team is going to be.
Not that different at all.
Yeah, it's B team versus B team. The only odd pick on the Chilean lineup is 30-year-old Esteban Paredes, who has, 19 goals in 6 goals in 19 games. He plays for Colo-Colo in Chile, as all the players are all basically coming from either Colo-Colo, Universidad de Chile, or Universidad Católica. So those are basically the 3 major clubs almost all the players on the Chilean team are going to come from. And so very much like us, it's going to be domestic versus domestic. It's very much B team versus B team, or you could even call it C team versus C team.
Well, I made this comment before we started this, but it does seem very Italian of them, where they're really picking from a couple of teams from their domestic league. They're going to play this to their advantage, to where they're going to have chemistry. They really will.
Well, then again, you could say there are a lot of Galaxy players. There are a lot of FC Dallas players on our team. So in some ways, maybe there's to be some chemistry there. But the only guy I think we really need to look out for as well is Esteban Paredes. This guy is a goal scorer, a prolific goal scorer in the Chilean domestic league. So we better keep our eyeballs peeled for him. The question is, why is he there? Because he's going to be 34 by the time the next World Cup pops up. And certainly Chile expects there'll be other strikers, or maybe they don't. So they're giving this guy a shot. It's somebody we have to focus on. So
perhaps they're doing what we did with the Copa 2007 Cup, and where you bring in a bunch of young players and you incorporate a couple of vet players that know the ropes, have played the game, and know how to handle it.
Yeah.
They may just be looking at something like that, sort of somebody to steer the young players in the right direction.
And Paredes did make the World Cup team, the 2010 World Cup team for Chile, and he did play in 2 games in the group stage. Granted, off the bench, but this is a guy.
Regardless.
Yeah, he's talented. So let's talk about the goalkeepers for the U.S. You're thinking that Sean Johnson from the Fire will get the call to start in this game.
It's a little bit of a biased opinion here.
Yeah.
However,
I bet.
Johnson does qualify as an age player for a normal age player for the upcoming Olympic team.
Right.
Which is what Bob is really hinting at. Bob's talking like, "Oh, I might be taking control of the Olympic squad this cycle through."
Yep.
So that's why I think he might get the look over somebody like Pickens, who obviously went to the MLS Cup, or Raimondo, who's consistently a great shot stopper.
Yeah.
And the wild card here is Dominic Servi, because we have no idea what he's like anymore. I mean, last time we saw him was the last qualifiers for the Olympic squad.
Yeah.
We haven't seen much of him. However, he might have improved. He might have moved on. I still think Sean Johnson's going to get the look, though.
I don't know. I mean, I think Matt Pickens is going to get it, and here's why. He's been talked about all season long as the best goalkeeper in MLS. Had a great performance all through the playoffs, and I think the guy's earned his first starting role. So I'm going to go with Pickens as the goalkeeper.
I like your opinion. He'd be my second pick, to be frank. I just have a different reason why I'm picking Sean. So
yeah, well, it's a little Chicago Fire bias going on in there. So let's move to the defense. There are a lot of new faces here. A lot of Galaxy guys. I mean, not only do you have Garza, you have Sean Franklin, you have Omar Gonzalez. I mean, you could practically start 3 of the 4 guys in the back 4 as a Galaxy back line, but I still personally want to see Tim Ream, and I am really interested in seeing Marvell Wynn perhaps start at center back, as he did for Colorado most of this season, and who would have believed he could have been a center back? No one, I think, thought that, but when he was forced to do it, he did a great job at it.
I agree completely. I would like to see Wynn get some playing time at some point in the game. I still think that Bob's going to look at this more of another showcase of potential up-and-coming center backs, where I see Omar Gonzalez and Ream really get the looks, because they've been called up. They've actually been played in recent friendlies. Gonzalez got the Brazil friendly. Ream got the South Africa friendly, and it's just one of those things where I think they're going to get the look first, and then if depending on the game, we might try win at center back. I would like to see him get there because he did have an excellent season. Or
does Bradley just go with what he knows and start Marvell out on the right back or left back spot along with Lloyd and just have Ream and Gonzalez in the middle? Or do you see Franklin out there? I mean,
well, I see a lot of wing backs options. I don't necessarily see Wynn played as a wing back this time around. Ultimately, I see Franklin played on the right, Omar and Ream played in the center, and then I see Wallace played on the left.
Huh.
And it's possible that we might see De La Garza up there, maybe even Ryan Miller, who's doing pretty well abroad.
Our backfield, I'm going with Ream, Gonzalez, Lloyd, and I'm gonna just say they're gonna try win out on the wing as well. So that's my back four.
Are we gonna talk about potential subs at the end of this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, then I'm gonna just mention my four. Like I said before, it's Franklin, Omar, Ream, and Wallace.
All right, fair enough. Midfield. Well, to me, this one is a little bit more obvious because I just think Bob is really comfortable with Dax McCarty and Laurentowicz in the middle, with Dax playing box-to-box and Laurentowicz with a little bit more of a defensive mindset. And as we talked about earlier, probably going to go with Bedoya out wide. I don't know how you could not. Breck Shea out wide as well. And then bring in Diskerud probably, after halftime, 65 minutes or so for either McCarty or Laurentowicz. So
yeah, I had such a difficulty of coming up with my four for the midfield. Although we came up with the same midfield,
right?
Bedoya on the right, Laurentowicz and Dax in the middle, and Shea on the left. It is possible that we could see Mix brought in to the left wing position. He has played left wing for his club. However, I do see him playing Shea. I would like to see more Mix, but I'll get into that when we get to the subs position. But yeah, I see Laurentowicz played as more of the defensive back, or defensive mid, which is what he really plays regardless.
Right.
He does have. We mentioned this before, but he does have a really nice shot when he rips one.
Hell of a leg.
He has a hell of a foot.
Yes.
But I see Dax is given more freedom to roam around, which is really what he did with FC Dallas. He had the options to push forward. He can sit in the midfield, look for the pass options. Bedoya has strictly been used as a center back, or not center back. Jesus.
Out wide, yeah.
It's been used as a right midfielder for the U.S. and Shea is obviously left wing. Although, and we talked about this beforehand.
Oh yeah.
Some other conversations that we both would love to see Shea used as a center back. He was used as it in the Generation Adidas little trip he did in Spain.
Yeah.
And he excelled. In fact, he gained interest with Atletico Madrid.
Yep.
There's talks of him possibly playing center back this season for FC Dallas.
Yep.
However, I don't see Bob taking the chance and throwing him back there at this level. I'm going to wait. I think he's going to wait to see what he does. If Shea does well at center back, if he gets thrown there, then he'll play there. But
I don't know. I mean, Bob's had this thing where he is willing to try people who've never really played that much center back at center back. He did it with Maurice Adu, who, yes, he played center back in the Olympics. That's not much experience at center back, but and Adu's even openly said, I don't like playing center back, and yet he still plays Adu at center back. So why not try Breck Shea at CB, at some point? Maybe not this game, but down the line, whether or not he plays it for Dallas or not, because let's be frank, Dallas don't really need him to play center back right now.
That's true.
Generation Adidas did, and when he played it during the tour, he was great. So I think we got to start thinking about the future here.
He's definitely got the tools to play the position. There's a difference between saying, hey, let's take a left mid and throw him back at center back, compared to saying, hey, let's take a defensive mid and throw him at center back. Because while Adu does definitely play the central mid position, he does have more of a defensive mindset. So the switch of saying, hey, sit back a little further, compared to Shea, who's used to roaming up and down the left side of the field.
Hell, Breck Shea's really a striker, and you know that too.
Well, yeah, those are those two. I mean, those would be the two options in my opinion. He's not really he's a good MLS left midfielder, and I think he'll do well there at MLS. But I think overall, as far as internationally speaking, or if he goes abroad, you're looking at center back or striker. But still,
I think so. And a lot of Americans have made that conversion from Spector did it. I don't know how successfully, because he's certainly a better center midfielder than he is a left back or right back. But, there have been Americans who have made that transition. Let's move to the forwards real quick.
Mm-hmm.
My picks are, of course, I want to see Juan Agudelo, and I want to see Teal Bunbury. Again, I want to see them start. And then, of course, we have these, obviously, I think we're going to see Wondolowski at halftime. And then you've got Yevgeny Eugene Starikov, born in the Ukraine, grew up in Florida, from Zenit St. Petersburg, who people are comparing to Andrei Arshavin, which I think is a complete joke, obviously, because the only
bit of a stretch.
Yeah, the only thing they have in common is how short they are. He was on loan to Tom Tomsk. He played a number of games there, but I don't think that's a guy you throw right into the starting lineup.
No.
So you got to go with Agudelo and Bunbury.
That's the only two you can start with. I mean, you look at Wondolowski, has not had a cap for the U.S.
Yep.
He really hasn't. He's been talking about he'll play for U.S. or Poland, whoever calls him up. So he hasn't started yet. There's no reason why to start him now over Agudelo and Bunbury, who have both started. Who have not started. They've both had games with the U.S. squad.
Right.
They both played against South Africa. Starikov. He obviously hasn't been called up. This is his first call up. There's no reason to start him unless either Wando or Starikov has really just excelled in the camp and showed themselves better options than Agudelo and Bunbury. But I really think Bunbury and Agudelo are going to be the options. I don't think there's much debating here.
No, there isn't. I think that's your starting lineup. And if it's something different, then Bob's just kind of screwing around with things and trying something different. But it's got to be Agudelo and Bunbury. Both those guys, Atletico Madrid were interested in Agudelo, and then you have a lot of teams that were sniffing around Bunbury as well in this offseason. I don't think there are a lot of teams sniffing around Starikov, and certainly not Wondolowski, who's going to be getting up there in age here soon, and doesn't have a lot of speed, doesn't necessarily have any, anything you would that stands out. Except for the fact
what he does have is the nose for the goal.
Well, he did for this season, right?
This season, you're right. Yeah, sorry. He had his nose for the goal this season, and he was clinical. He was clinch for San Jose. He was the guy. I mean, hell, did he get runner-up or did he actually get Golden Boot?
That's a good question.
Regardless, he was
21 goals.
Yeah, he was clutch for them, and it's just one of those things that he got the call up because of his current status. However, he's just not. I hope he gets playing time. I really do. Him and Starkov. I hope they both get playing time eventually.
Yeah.
I hope to see Lloyd and Alexander from FC Dallas. I like what I see from both of them. They're both impressive. I like Lloyd in the back. I like Alexander in the midfield. Most likely it'll be a center midfield. I would see Laurentowicz leaving and bringing, or even Dax leaving, because it'd be.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's going to be either one of the two, right?
And then I obviously see Mix coming in for either Shea or Bedoya, depending on who's having the not so great game. If I had to take a stab as far as an international game, I would say it'd be Shea, because his matchup against Colombia wasn't that great. Hopefully he bounces back.
Oh, he looked lost in that game. Yeah.
Maybe another bad game against Chile would just emphasize that he's not internationally a left wing.
No.
Maybe he has to be pushed back to the center back, or maybe he has to be pushed up top. Most likely back to the center back, regardless.
He's not the kind of player at an international level, in my Shea, for me, that can not only pinch in constantly as a left midfielder, as almost another striker, but then also be asked to cover and play defense on the left wing. It's just too much for him. At least it seemed that way in the first game. He just seemed confused. He didn't know where he was supposed to be half the game. We'll see if there's any different, but I like to see at halftime them throw Shea back at CB, move somebody out of CB, and then throw another left midfielder in there and somebody different.
Don't get me wrong. I want to see Shea excel. I like the kid. I think he has a lot of talent, and I think he has a lot of potential. He has a lot to work with still. He's still really raw.
Yeah.
But I want to see him excel. I really do. I mean, he's a personality to have on the team from what I've seen. So.